It was a dark and rainy night. A storm had hit the small town, forcing John's power to go out. As much as he didn't want to, John went to the local store to get batteries. He walked into the store, drenched. The store was empty, except a sole cashier. I mean, what did John expect? There was a hurricane outside. John went down the aisle until he found the batteries he needed. He walked up to the cashier and, "Is this all?" she asked. "Yes," John replied. As John left, he noticed a man on the other side of the street. John found this odd. Why would there be a man standing outside in the middle of a storm? He was wearing a tuxedo with a red tie, but John didn't care about the man's clothing. All John was focused on was the man's eyes. They were dark and fierce. John knew the man was staring directly at him, as if he was staring into John's very soul. John turned to ask the cashier if she knew the man, but when John turned, the cashier was gone without a trace. John turned back again and the man was gone too. Confused, John went to the phone booth where the man was standing. He dialed his house to see if he could get a hold of his wife, but all John could hear was beeping, as if the line had been cut. Frightened, John started to walk back home when he passed an alley. There was someone lying there. John couldn't quite make out who it was, so he went to the body. It was the cashier, her body as lifeless as the cold concrete she lay on. In shock, John stumbled home, but when he tried opening the door, he found it was locked. Hurrying, John started searching his pockets for his keys when he felt a tap on his shoulder. John anxiously turned around, coming to face the man from before. He spoke in a demon-like voice and said, "Wonderful night, eh, John?" As the man started laughing, John's knees gave out and he fell to the ground and passed out. When he finally came to, he was lightheaded and confused. He was in a dark room and all he could see was a shadow. He tried to convince himself that it was just a dream, but in reality he knew he was in danger. John heard a faint click and a rush of light hit his face. There he was, the man, the devil, the demon who brought him here. John asked the man, "Where am I? Who are you?" And the man only stared at John. He asked again, "Who are you?" The man finally spoke. "Your worst nightmare." And then all John could hear was an intense, high-pitched screaming, as if the tortured cries of children were clawing their way out of John's skull. John quickly covered his ears and clenched his eyes shut, screaming, begging for the noise to stop. The noise grew louder and louder to match his screams, and he writhed there, crying and screaming, and the noise continued to grow louder and louder until the noise suddenly stopped. John slowly opened his eyes to see he was back at the register, buying batteries at the local store. John, confused, looked at the cashier in disarray. "Are you okay, sir?" asked the cashier. Shaking his head, John quickly ran out of the store, and as he ran blindly into the street, he heard a car horn. With a jarring impact, John's broken body was thrown to the street, finally rolling to a stop in front of an immaculate dress shoe. In his last few seconds of life, he saw the man with the red tie standing over him. He said, "Night-night, John. Sweet dreams." And as he started to laugh, John closed his eyes and passed away.